Hey everybody, Richard Smith here. I am at Siloam Missionary Homes down in Snow Camp, North Carolina. I'm sitting here with this young gentleman, Mike Gay, who is, what are you, Mike?
I am the president here at Siloam Missionary Homes.
Awesome. It's great to be here. You guys have a beautiful place.
Thank you.
I'm hoping that this conversation that me and you have is going to feel like a down-home country chat. Okay, we just want to know, what is Siloam Missionary Homes and how does it work and what do you do and all that good stuff. So
Okay.
we're going to talk about that. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to let you fill in the blanks, and we're going to let our viewers know exactly what is Siloam Missionary Homes.
That sounds good.
So let's start from the beginning. How did Siloam Missionary Homes start?
So Siloam Missionary Homes actually started because our founder, Larry and Joyce George, felt the Lord was calling them to do something, but they didn't know what that was. Joyce actually grew up on the mission field. Her parents were missionaries to Brazil. She was born in Brazil.
Wow.
And so she had a passion for missions and missionaries. And as they were praying about what God would have them do, Larry actually was having a conversation with his father-in-law, and his father-in-law was known for asking people, have you considered going to the mission field? And so Larry looked over and said, God's working in our lives, but we're just not sure. And his father-in-law looked at him and said, have you considered providing houses for missionaries? And that was so not what Larry was expecting.
Right.
And when he went back and told Joyce, that is not what she was expecting. And so from that came an interest in that. And so in 1992, they got together with some other people, their local church and some other people, and formed a board and started pursuing providing housing for missionaries. And so from that, they were able to purchase the initial 16.5 acres out here in Snow Camp, of which we're sitting on a part of that original property. Mm-hmm. And when they purchased this property, it was just a bunch of trees. And they came out every weekend with chainsaws, pickup trucks, and started clearing the land, and eventually built a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom duplex right at the front of the campus. And that was the start. And since then, that has expanded to 44 acres with 15 homes. 12 of those are missionary homes, and a lot of amenities to go along with it on our little community here at Siloam.
Yeah. It's like it is exactly that. It is a small community. You have everything right here that can benefit a missionary's family. So they don't really have to go out a lot for things. They can come here, study, go out and prepare, go out and talk to churches about what they're doing, have a safe place to come back home to afterwards, and that's a great feeling, I'm sure, for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Are you non-denominational?
So actually we are non-denominational. We are not affiliated with any particular organization or entity. So that gives us a lot of freedom to minister to a lot of different missionaries. We have recommendations come from mission boards and churches, but even on our own staff, we're widely varied in the churches that we go to. We have a doctrinal statement that is publicly available on our website, and when anyone wants to come stay here, we do have them read that and agree to abide by that while they're on the property. But we have definitely served a variety of missionaries from various denominations in our 30 plus years here, and we'll continue to do that.
Awesome. While we're at it, let's the website. What is that?
So our website is siloamhomes.org. SILOAM homes.org.
All right, and I'll throw that up on the screen for you. Let's move on to the next question. How do the missionaries, do you charge for them to stay here at the homes?
So we do actually charge a small fee for the missionaries to stay here. Over the years, we've considered offering the housing for free. The reality is, if you offer something for free, it often doesn't get taken care of as well. And so we do charge what we call a maintenance fee. That includes us maintaining the home for them, obviously maintaining the grounds, and they also pay for their utilities, so electricity, gas, and internet. Our maintenance fee actually runs anywhere from $400 to $500 a month, depending on the number of bedrooms in the home. And with utilities, the average family in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house would spend about $650 a month, all in.
Well, that's very reasonable compared to what's going on out in the world today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Burlington right now with utilities would run you $1,800 to $2,100 a month.
Definitely, yeah. Where do you get your support from? How do you guys keep the doors open and everything running smoothly?
Well, I wish I could say that what we charge the missionaries covers all of our costs, but it doesn't remotely come close. So the maintenance fees that we charge the missionaries actually only cover about 12% of our annual budget. A portion of our budget we fund ourselves just with fundraisers and being creative. About 70% of our support actually comes from donors, and that includes churches and individuals. The average monthly gift is around $30 a month. Obviously, we have some people that give less. We have individuals and churches that give significantly more, but the average monthly donation per supporter is about $30 a month.
The tax deductions that a church or individual may give, is that tax deductible?
It is. We are a 501c3 recognized nonprofit by the IRS, and so any contribution that is made or donation of goods, we can provide a tax receipt for that. Even the charitable or qualified charitable distributions that are made out of like IRA accounts or retirement accounts, those are also accepted here, and we can provide tax receipts for those as well.
Awesome. If I'm a missionary and I want to learn more about you, obviously you can go to the website. But how do a lot of missionaries find out about you? I mean, word of mouth? How does that work?
Well, amazingly enough, a lot of it is word of mouth. One missionary tells another missionary, "Hey, we were on the back from the field and we stayed at this great place." If you do a Google search, we do come up kind of right at the top. We do have relationships with some churches and mission agencies who do share our name and our contact information with missionaries. They don't necessarily recommend us first, but we're on their lists. But predominantly it's word of mouth. One missionary telling another missionary.
Awesome. So what qualifications or what do they need to do in order to stay here and take advantage of this?
So one thing that we do require, and it's very clear on our website, you have to be an active missionary with some form of organization. So a missionary would fill out an application on our website, and they answer not only personal questions, but questions about their ministry, their personal testimony. We even ask who they're accountable to, whether it be a church or a mission agency. And once they have applied with us, we do follow up on that. We do background checks on all adults 18 or older who are going to be staying on the property, whether they're foreign or have a U.S. Social Security number. We have a process for doing that. And we also follow up with their accountability agency to make sure they're active and in good standing with that organization. And so we do our due diligence. We want to serve as many people as possible, but we also want to serve those that are actually serving the Lord and doing His work.
So when your families come in, I mean, how long do they stay here? I mean, is there a set time? How does that work?
So our website does say that typically we would allow up to a year for missionaries to stay here. The average stay is typically about 8 months, but we have families that come shorter term than that, sometimes just 1 or 2 months. We do have a relationship with a local mission agency, and their training program is 2 years long. And so we know when one of their missionaries comes, they're probably going to be here for 2 years. But typically up to a year, and then if they need, they can work with us to extend longer than that if we have availability.
Are all your houses taken right now? Are there missionaries in every single house?
So we are currently, at this moment, we are in a transition time where we're getting ready to turn over more than half of our houses. We are filling every house that is available and not being worked on. We do occasionally reserve houses when we know we have a work team coming to work on a house, and this summer happens to be one of those summers. So we will be working on one of our larger houses and housing the work teams in a couple of the other houses. But as soon as that work is done, they're booked again.
Right.
We maintain about a 99% occupancy rate.
Nice. When the missionaries come, do they need to bring anything? Is the house fully furnished? How's that work?
So that's one of the blessings of Siloam Missionary Homes, and we are so thankful for people that help us, because every home is fully furnished, from the furniture to the linens, the beds, even all of the stuff you need to make a meal in your kitchen. Everything is fully furnished. All they have to do is roll their luggage in, unpack, and they're home.
Nice. Do the missionaries have any responsibilities to do while they're here on campus?
Because every situation is unique, we do not actually require them to participate in the maintenance of the homes, even in the groundskeeping. Obviously, we encourage them to volunteer, and we have some families that are very active in helping us out. But there are so many families that come from areas where they don't have flower beds outside their house, so wouldn't know the difference between a weed and a non-weed.
Would be me.
And so, no, they're here to rest and refresh and get ready to go back on the field. And for them, that may not be working outside in the yard or in the garden or on the grounds. But certainly for those that love to get their hands dirty, we have no shortage of opportunities for them to get involved.
I'm sure some of the missionaries may come from areas that they're working in that are hostile or not very friendly. Coming here and having a safe place that they can actually just relax and chill out, is a great thing for them to have. So that's beautiful. I can imagine having missionaries stay here that are from all over the world. Is a great thing to interact with. You sit down and you get to hear stories about how it's going in Timbuktu or wherever they're from. How do you guys deal with that? Is it a great experience?
Oh, absolutely. One of the blessings of being on the staff at Siloam is having the opportunity to interact with the missionaries. Again, every situation is unique. So we provide opportunities for the families to interact with each other, with the staff, even with guests that come, whether as a work team or as a tour group, so that they can tell their stories and share their work and their experiences with other people. But at the same time, we respect each family's privacy. And we do have families that come that have been through so much on the field that they need days, weeks, sometimes months of very little interaction with other people to really recover from what they've been through or what they've seen. And so we're respectful of that. But ultimately, yes, it's about Christian community. It's about Christian fellowship. So we provide monthly missionary fellowships where we may eat a meal together. We may have a cookout. We may go to one of the local parks and play some games and just get off the property a little bit. Anytime we have a work team come in, we schedule missionaries to share their stories with the work team, just to expose them to ministries and cultures from around the world. In our dining room, we have a map up on the wall that actually has a pin and the name of every family that stayed at Siloam. And we're closing in on almost 400 families.
Wow. That
have stayed at Siloam from nearly 100 countries in our 32 years of existence.
Wow. So Mike, your place is beautiful. I would like to hear more about it, and we want to show some pictures of some of the places on your property here. Let's start with the recreation side of it. Okay, you've got a game room back here that we're going to throw pictures up where they pool table, foosball, things like that. What else do you have?
So in addition to what we call the rec center, and it's actually named WRECK, like a plane wreck or a car wreck, the rec center, which is a pretty fully filled game room with foosball, pool table, ping pong, air hockey. Just outside of that is an old McDonald's playground.
Yeah, that's
that
nice.
the kids love playing on. as well as an outdoor seating area with porch swings and a fire pit that the families can take advantage of. On the back side of the rec center, we have a fully furnished fitness center. It's actually far better than what you'd find at even the nicest hotels. God has been very good to us, and you can work out about any part of your body you want to work out in that fitness center. And then
You should look like Schwarzenegger, man. Come on.
yeah, you know what? It's amazing when you live here, you don't always take advantage of your own amenities.
There you go.
And then obviously the families can walk the campus. We provide adult down to kid-sized bicycles that the families can borrow while they're here.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, on the other side of our property, we actually have a small farm.
Wow.
And so while the families are here, they can actually do an orientation session with our farm manager. And once they have done that and learned the rules of how to handle the animals and what not to do,
Right.
then they're allowed to actually go with their parents in to be with the animals anytime they would like. And so that is one of the blessings of this property, is letting the kids interact with our sheep, our goats, and our alpacas, and learn about them, but also just be with them. The goats are very playful, they're used to people, and they love attention. They're attention hungry.
It's got to be great therapy for the kids.
Oh, absolutely. And then we're also expanding this year our garden, and we do encourage families that want to share in the fresh produce of the garden to get involved and help with that. We've actually added a greenhouse this year as well. So now we will actually be growing some of the vegetables year round. And we are making plans actually to put in a walk-in cooler and freezer as part of our village down here.
Awesome.
And that will allow us to actually make more fresh fruit and vegetables available and keep them longer.
Right.
As well as make available meats and other things that are donated that are currently hard to store in our small freezers.
Well, let's go back to the farm for a second. You guys have an event that you do, is it annually? Every year. It's called the Farm Day. Tell me a little bit about that.
So Farm Day right now is really our signature fundraiser, and it just beyond normal donor work that we do. And really it's an opportunity for the community to come into Siloam. They park on the main side of the property, so they get to see the village. And then we shuttle them up to the farm itself. And we bring in vendors and have a game area set up by one of the local churches, have local food produced and sold at the event. And it's really an opportunity for us as a staff to meet the local community and let them see that we're here. Probably one of the things that we hear the most from our neighbors is, "Oh, we didn't know you were there. I live six doors down. Didn't know you were there, or didn't know what you did." And so Farm Day is just an opportunity for us to talk to those neighbors. Just today, somebody that we met at Farm Day that day actually dropped off a donation for us.
Wow.
Having never heard of us prior to Farm Day, didn't know what we did or who we were. And he came by this morning and dropped a donation off. And that's what Farm Day's about for us. It's about getting to know our community.
Right. You had the llamas and the other animals out there. I got some pictures of them with the girls.
So they're alpacas.
Okay.
We do not actually have any llamas here.
Right.
They're all alpacas.
That's why I'm not a farm guy. So the kids could pet those, take the pictures with them, things like that. The bouncy slide. Now, hey, look, I love the bouncy slide. I got on that. I slid down. It was a lot of fun.
Of course you did.
Yes, of course I did. You know I've got to do that. You had games there for the kids to play and win some prizes and things like that. You had missionaries with tables set up and vendors that were selling their goods that are local and from around here and so forth. It was a great little day, and I'm sure it helped get your word out about what you guys were doing here.
I think one of the biggest blessings of this year's Farm Day was the missionaries actually commented that the community was engaged with them, that people stopped and talked with the missionaries, asked them what they did, gave them an opportunity to tell their stories. So now that what they do for Christ, that gospel message, now reaches another group of people that otherwise didn't know.
Right. We're talking about the freezer, and you have a basically a food pantry that the residents here can go in anytime they need to and access that. I've got some pictures of that we're going to show. Just tell me a little bit about that and how that gets filled.
Okay. So we call our food pantry Granddad's Country Store, and it was actually built in honor of one of our supporters' relatives. They built that store up in Indiana in their church parking lot,
Wow.
dedicated it, got scolded by the local building code enforcer, who said, you didn't have a permit for that. And they explained, well, it's not going to be here much longer. And I don't think he really believed them. And a week later, they took it apart, put it on a trailer, and brought it down here.
Wow.
And so that was actually set up the summer after 9/11 and has been stocked ever since. We estimate about $50,000 of groceries go through that store a year. And that comes from families and kids and churches who do food drives and poundings and bring the donations out to us. We also get donations from a local store, BJ's Wholesale. We pick up their expiring baked goods once a week, and those go in the store. We have a couple local gardens that through various other food pantries, we're able to get access to fresh vegetables almost year round that filter our way. And then we also, another local nonprofit, any excess meats and other things that they have from a local grocery store, we're able to supply to the missionaries as well. So we keep it stocked. It's not designed to be a total replacement for the grocery store, but it's certainly a nice supplement to the missionaries, who are trying to count every penny.
Exactly. And the pennies that they do get to count, they can turn around and use it when they go back out and serve God. And what they're
Exactly.
doing. And that's a very important thing. You also have another store on this property. It's a clothing store of some type. Tell me more about it.
So we have been also blessed with generous donors who make donations of clothing and shoes and outerwear, and we redid our treasure chest a couple years back, and we're able to upgrade it with really nice store quality fixtures, nice lighting so the families can actually see what they're shopping for.
Right.
And the main blessing of the clothing store for the families is many of them come from climates that don't match ours. So a family coming from a predominantly warm climate 12 months a year and moving into Siloam in February, they don't come with coats and sweaters and sweatshirts. And so that gives them a place where they can stock up on those things without expending a ridiculous sum of money
Right.
for something they only need for a couple of months. And many of the missionaries care for those things well and normally get donated right back to the store. And so it just it keeps a nice cycle going. And we try to be good stewards of everything that comes in. So anything that comes to us that's donated that we are not able to use in our ministry, we actually donate to 2 other ministries who have thrift stores. And so we try to bless them, not with junk, but with things that don't fit what we need and what our families need. We try to make sure they go to another Christian ministry that is putting that money to good use.
Nice, very nice. I want to talk about the little chapel down here real quick, because that's a really cute little chapel. Do you know when that was built, approximately?
So the chapel was built in the late 90s. It was actually built before we built the big office building that we're sitting in right now. And it wasn't built necessarily with a specific purpose in mind. It actually sits right beside a piece of the ground that's important to this property.
Gotcha.
So outside the chapel, there's actually a rock, the prayer rock. And as this property slowly developed over time and the next phase was decided on, it was prayed over thoroughly, and often Larry and his father-in-law would go down to the rock just outside the chapel, and that's where that happened. They would talk through different things and pray and commit it to the Lord. And so Larry and Joyce had a vision of a place where missionaries could do the same thing, but maybe not out in the elements when it's raining and windy and nasty.
Right.
And so a couple of families got together from some local ministries, and in honor of some of their family members, built the Burden Love Chapel in honor of a couple of their relatives. And so primarily it's a place where the missionaries can go and spend time and get away with the Lord. We do one service a year ourselves in the chapel, and that's our Christmas Eve. We have a Christmas Eve service, sing along and praise time. And then we have had, especially during COVID, we had a couple missionaries that would go in there, get behind the pulpit, record their sermons, or broadcast them live from the chapel.
Nice.
So it can even be used for just a quiet place to hold a Zoom meeting with somebody overseas if there's no other place to do it. But it's just it's a quaint respite, a quaint place to get away, whatever that purpose is. Not always spiritual in nature, but primarily.
Right. I had the privilege of coming out here one Friday morning and being a part of what y'all call your early morning prayer meeting.
Yeah.
And it was just 3 or 4 guys sitting around in their cowboy boots or work boots or whatever, and having a nice little devotional and praying for whatever needed to be prayed for.
Yeah.
Tell me how that got started, maybe, and a little bit about that. And the gentleman, the pastor that runs that, his name is...
So we do have a missionary pastor here on site. He lives just down the road and is here and available during the day. I'm not actually sure when the prayer time got started. It probably came something out of some of those prayer times that Larry had with his father-in-law. We used to actually hold them in the chapel. It kind of morphed up into here as this building was built. But really, I mean, what a privilege to work at a place where we can start the day off as a staff,
Right.
Focusing on the things of the Lord, having a conversation, a cup of coffee, then turning to God's Word, having a time of prayer, recording those prayer requests. We have other missionaries often will come in later in the day and pray over the prayer requests as they're written down. And it's just a privilege to be able to start the day off honoring the Lord and then go out and do His work.
Right. It's got to be great. I think we covered about everything there is to know about this place. I want to give you an opportunity, though. Anything we might have forgotten that you want to add? Anything you can think of?
Absolutely. So Siloam Missionary Homes is blessed in that our 44 acres, all of our buildings are all completely paid for and debt free. We are getting ready to start a period of time where many of our buildings need proactive maintenance to protect the integrity of the structures. So we've got, over the next 5 years, most of the houses are going to need new siding. Some of them need new roofs, and that's funds outside of our normal operating budget.
Right.
So we are working on estimating about $50,000 a year that we're going to need to spend on houses as we have opportunity to do the upgrades and changes that need to be made. Some of them will be cosmetic, but many of them are necessity. When a roof needs replaced, a roof needs replaced. This
Correct.
year we actually have 2 roofs that have to be replaced this year, or insurance will no longer cover them. And we've got 2 houses with siding that have deteriorated and have to be replaced this year. And so we're praying that the Lord would provide that funding. But of course, this place exists because somebody had a dream.
Right.
Because Larry and Joyce were given inspiration by God to provide a place for missionaries to be. And even the staff that's here now, we have dreams too. We have things we would love to add to this property beyond just the normal maintenance, beyond the normal upkeep, that we feel would enhance the missionary stay here and help us more, because it's not just about the house.
Right.
It's about the whole person. It's about ministering to the families, to their health, to their mental needs and their spiritual needs. And so as we move over the next 5 years, we have a lot of maintenance we need to do, but we'd love to see some of our dreams get in place too. See the Lord provide above and beyond what we would ask or think, as George Mueller prayed so many times and thanked the Lord for so many times. And that's where we're at. We have a dedicated staff who makes the most of what God has given us, the most of our talents, the most of our funds. But there's so much more we feel we could do, and it takes the gifts and the prayers of all those people that are going to watch this video. We have plenty of opportunity for volunteers to get involved. No matter your skill, we can use you. If you can do construction, we can use you. If you can clean a floor, we can use you. If you can do a paintbrush up and down, we can use you. And if all you can do is pick up sticks, we can use you. There is a place to serve, and we can help you find that place here if you're willing to come and be a part of this ministry.
I know I've heard you say this before. Any church or organization that would love to have you out to tell about this place, I know you're available for that, right?
Absolutely. So not only am I available, but Milton, our pastor, our missionary pastor, is available. Joyce would love to speak to ladies groups, and another one of our staff members really feels a calling to the ministry side of ministry, and so we are making him available too. He recently preached his first sermon.
Oh, wow.
And so we would love to, we have multiple staff members that are available to come out and visit, but we also invite you to come here. We will do tours. We have a trolley that we can pull behind our truck or our tractor, and we can take you on a tour of the whole property. We'll provide you lunch, and if there's time, a missionary speaker or one of us will share with you more about Siloam. And all we ask for that is just do a love offering for the cost of the meal that we provide. But we're willing to do that pretty much any time of the year.
Okay.
You really can't understand what Siloam Missionary Homes really is until you come to the property.
All right. It's a beautiful place. Mike, I appreciate it. Man, you have really told us a lot about this place, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, you really need to come down here and check this out in person if you can. Mike, thank you so much for your time, my friend. And I hope you guys will give him a call, talk to this young man on the phone, and come check it out for yourself. Y'all have a great day.